Radiant light splits the clouds and a celestial host falls upon the mortal realm. None are spared from the angel's wrath. There is no innocence anymore because even the virtuous allowed evil to spread in the hearts of humanity. And now every soul must suffer and be cleansed. That's what folk tell me about angels in dark fantasy anyway. My name is Ben Byrne, and this is how to make angels formidable in your D&D campaign. Angels are often featured in D&D in a simplistic and frankly boring way, believing in absolute morality. The idea that right and wrong, good and evil are easy to define in every single circumstance. What is considered right and good to an angel is usually defined by the edicts of their god, applied in the most unyielding and unsubtle way imaginable. To a typical D&D angel, only they have the correct definition of what is just and righteous, and straying outside those bounds even just a little bit will incur the angel's wrath. Made a pact with a demon for wealth? That's a smiting. Made offerings to an archfey for a good harvest? That's a smiting. In the general vicinity when a thief stole a holy artifact? Did you even try to stop the robbery? There are no innocents in the eyes of a wrathful angel. But this absolute and extreme morality doesn't make any sense. It's such a bad faith depiction of how a virtuous creature would apply morality to the real world. It portrays angels as naive, cruel, petty, and unsympathetic, which are more like the traits of a demon than an honorable and virtuous celestial. And it's all for the sake of shoehorning angels into the role of antagonist. It makes them just another monster your party can fight without any subtlety or nuance. Psychotically wrathful angels also stem from the way that D&D depicts alignment as an absolute tangible force within the cosmos, which planar creatures like angels are bound to. A lawful good angel is literally incapable of accepting unlawful behavior or behaving unlawfully. Context is apparently meaningless to such a celestial. Absolute morality might work in heroic fantasy adventures of good versus evil. Dark fantasy accepts that morality is relative, complicated, and it's sometimes contradictory. So how do you feature angelic creatures meant to be the personification of virtue in a world where differing interpretations of virtue exist? Angels are meant to personify goodness and virtue. So what is truly virtuous? What traits and beliefs define someone who is purely benevolent and selfless? It's not wrath. It's not violence. It's not punishing people with fire for slight transgressions that they made under difficult circumstances. If you want your celestials and your angels to stand out from every other horrible and murderous monster in your campaign, imbue them with angelic qualities: love, joy, forgiveness, a passion for life, and a desire to protect folk rather than punish them. A strong sense of justice, yes, but tempered by compassion and wisdom. Angels should resemble Jedi Knights. They have the strength to defend against evil, but their philosophy is that no weapon should ever be raised in selfishness or anger. Jedi draw their strength from harmony, not wrath. They give every opportunity to their quarry to surrender or retreat. They forgive and redeem rather than destroy. You know, Goku from Dragon Ball Z is another great model for a celestial. Goku has enormous power, a strong sense of justice, and is feared by evildoers. But Goku laughs with his friends, he loves to feast, he takes joy in life, and he holds no hate in his heart for his enemies. An angel could equally be stoic and regal, speaking only when necessary because it speaks with the voice of the gods, and when provoked, it shimmers with radiant heat. Angels could appear inhuman and otherworldly, like interlocking rings of flame or the biblical seraphim, nothing but eyes and wings. Beholding such an angel could be existentially terrifying. Nevertheless, joyous or stoic, regal or relatable, angels should be the best of us. They're incorruptible examples of kindness and virtue and valor. An angel would definitely like this video to help spread the joy of tabletop gaming. This might not sound very dark fantasy at the moment, and that's partly because angels embody that ray of hope shining into your dark and dangerous campaign world. But it's also because we're going to take that virtuous, compassionate, loving little angel, and you're going to break their heart as they witness the imperfection of humanity. Let's talk about angels as formidable antagonists to your D&D party. During your dark fantasy campaign, your party will grapple with morally complex situations which will not have easy solutions. Your player characters might not even be particularly heroic themselves. To topple an unjust monarchy, your party might start a war that kills thousands. Your characters might slay a hag whose forest is being destroyed by loggers. They might trap innocent souls inside of a magical gem to grow powerful enough to defeat a demon. So what role does an angel, a symbol of perfect virtue, have in such a story? Thematically, angels create an opportunity for introspection. If an angel is the pinnacle of altruistic morality, how does your party stack up? A kindly ruler has been struck down by a powerful curse. The party could lift the curse, but only with the blood of a unicorn. Is the ruler's life worth the sacred celestial's death? The characters wish to free a warlock imprisoned by the Arcanist Inquisition. The Inquisition is cruel, yes, but the warlock is guarded by a celestial knight. The angelic knight gives the characters every opportunity to withdraw, preferring to avoid unnecessary violence. But the knight will not relinquish their prisoner. The knight reasons that if the warlock is freed, the warlock's fiendish patron will use the warlock to spread evil throughout the realm. Is it still the right thing to do to release the tortured mage? Encountering a celestial in your campaign isn't meant to morally checkmate the players. It's an invitation for the characters to reflect on their own morals and actions. Will the party change their actions once realizing the forces of heaven are opposed against them? Or do the characters believe that their ends justify their means? Both choices are valid, whether the party believes they have the moral high ground or they accept that they don't. Dark fantasy exists for exploring moral relativism. And it can be tragic when an angel witnesses the imperfect virtue of humanity, when the angel's heart breaks upon realizing that conflict is inevitable. When featuring an angel as a moral counter-argument to your party, it's thematically important that violence is always the result of the player's choices, not the angel's. It helps the angel seem more celestial, above pettiness and provocation. Let the angel become cornered by the decision-making of the players until they have no choice but to fight. And then unleash the wrath of heaven. Peace has failed, and now the characters must face an angel's wrath. Perhaps a Deva leads a band of devout knights, a Planetar guards the bones of a saint in an ancient temple, or a Solar is sent to stop a character achieving lichdom. All three stat blocks have a high armor class, magic and damage resistances, and inflict huge radiant damage bonuses with every melee weapon attack that they make. All three also have the power to break curses and resurrect fallen heroes, allowing them to weave miracles in a dark fantasy campaign where such a power isn't as common as going down to the local church. Choosing between these three stat blocks is basically just deciding what tier of play your characters are at, but I do have some recommendations for some less boring stat blocks that do a little bit more than just stack numbers higher and higher. The Battle Force and Fire Main Angels from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica make excellent celestial warriors. The Fire Main is relentless and has some devastating spells like Fireball that it can unleash on the battlefield. The Battle Force Angel inspires its allies during combat by adding a d4 to their attacks and saves. This shows that this angel is more than just a warrior. They are a beacon of faith. The Celestial Celebrant from the Grimhollow Monster Grimoire can similarly protect its allies, casting healing spells as a reaction when it sees its friends take damage. The Pact Breaker from the Monster Grimoire is also a formidable stat block. It can play a very dramatic role in your D&D campaign, hunting down your party's warlock. The Pact Breaker is actually a construct, but it was made by the hands of seraphs. A Pact Breaker can sense those who have made a pact with an evil entity, such as a fiend. And when a Pact Breaker deals damage to a creature, it can cause the creature to temporarily lose all benefits of its pact, including spells, feats, and class features. The Pact Breaker can completely depower a warlock. Your party will need to be very clever in confronting one because a straight up fight might end in catastrophe. Perhaps a character in your party is haunted by a demon, fae, or ancient being who lays claim to their soul. A Pact Breaker could actually offer such a character an escape from that pact. There's no reason a Pact Breaker needs to kill its quarry. The party's warlock could choose between being redeemed by the celestial construct or facing its wrath. But maybe the character can make a new pact with the Pact Breaker itself and respec into a celestial warlock. Or they could choose an entirely new class. Either way, this is a dramatic turning point in the story of your campaign. There are actually many Celestials in the Grim Hollow Monster Grimoire, and many of them are a little bit smitier than the virtue that I've suggested in this video, but they do serve a different thematic role than a typical angel. The Seraphs of Etheros have suffered a drastic fall from grace, and each are coping with it very differently. They are without gods, and therefore without divine guidance or purpose. The Angel of Imperius seeks to punish the wicked. They keep a Malakirian imp locked in a cage around the angel's neck. The tiny fiend teases out confessions about the mortal's darkest desires. And then the seraph punishes the mortal for their sins, both past and future, with very little compassion. But what isn't entirely clear is whether the angel's zealotry is actually caused by the imp's influence. Is the angel's own pride corrupting their divine purpose? Without the guidance of their dead god, avarice seraphs encourage mortals to enrich themselves as a path to happiness. They have come to believe that greed is a virtue. Both the greater and lesser avarice seraphs have ways to tempt and influence player characters with spells like suggestion and bespoke actions like tempting call. Like all angels, the avarice seraphs only wish to bring happiness and peace and joy. Yet when violence is necessary, their weapons deal the same radiant damage as all of their celestial kin. The Seraphs of the Monster Grimoire still offer introspection to your player characters when they're encountered, but they're not measuring the party against the lofty ideals of heaven. These angels are a thematic warning to the characters of what they can become if they trap themselves in ideals of absolute morality, if they mistake zealotry for virtue. The acolytes of the Arcanist Inquisition follow the teachings of the Seraphs to stamp out arcane magic, and you can make them formidable adversaries to your party's mages as well by watching this video here. Or if you want to feature mind flayers in your Baldur's Gate inspired campaign, learn how to make them terrifying villains by watching this video here.